your time today. My name is Mike Ricci. I am a senior account executive with Recast Software. And today we are going to be making a short presentation for you for a few of our solutions, but a little background on, can you share your screen? Yep. Okay. There we go. A little bit of background on myself. I have been with Recast since very, very close to the beginning of Recast. I joined about 5.5 years ago, and I've been fortunate enough to see the company grow into what we've grown into with our tool sets and solutions that you're going to be taking a look at today. Courtney Beatty will be walking us through a few of our solutions, and we'll get into a little more detail as to what that's going to be here shortly, but we will have Cody joining us on the chat. So for anybody that might be watching this remotely, if you have a question, whether it's technical nature, feel free to pop it into the chat, and Cody will be assisting with answering those questions as well. He also wants me to make a point to wish Courtney a happy birthday. So a little bit of a look at how the next hour or so is going to go. We're going to take a quick glance at Recast Software as a whole, a little bit about the company, customers that we currently work with. And then we're going to be breaking into a little bit of patching and affecting change at scale. And we're going to be taking a look at the right-click tools, our kind of OG original solution, as well as Application Manager for third-party patching. At the end, we're going to open up the floor to questions. If people have not, we're not getting the presentation online.
I'm sharing that screen. See the agenda? Yeah.
Okay. And at the end, please stick around for anybody who is remotely watching or here in person. We are going to be giving away some gift cards worth up to $100. So you're going to want to stick around for that and make sure you get the QR code so you can also enter to win that. I guess maybe we just get started on it instead of also. But some facts about Recast Software. As I've mentioned, the company Recast, we've been around for almost 6 years. As Recast Software, we're serving 125 countries around the world. Our community users range over 70,000. And a few things that we're really proud of as an organization, our renewal rate. If you start using Recast Software, you start using our products, the renewal rate's 90%. So 9 out of 10 organizations that come in and start working with Recast are going to renew their subscription and continue using our products. They found several of our tools have become essential to their everyday systems management. We have 1,300 enterprise users across the world using the right-click tools. Maybe they're using Endpoint Insights, Privilege Manager, Application Manager, which we're going to look at here later on today. And our Gartner Peer Insights review score is 4.9 out of 5. It's about as close to perfect as you can get without actually being perfect, but it also gives us something to continue to strive to. You can also share some links in the chat as well, so you can have a chance to view some of the reviews with the Gartner Peer Insights review and get an idea for what our customers say about us as a company. So we'll pop that into the chat as well. I mentioned that we have 1,300 different customers from an enterprise perspective, and we're across every vertical that you can imagine, every industry you can imagine, healthcare, manufacturing, education, government, banking, finance, just to name a couple of them that you see here on the screen, and some names that I absolutely am sure that you recognize, from Subaru to Sallie Mae, MasterCard, the government of Canada. We have a very strong customer base, and as you can see here, fit into one of those verticals to definitely some names you would recognize. And we understand that managing endpoints is hard, as the slide will indicate here. Kind of the 4 main points that we like to touch on here: lack of visibility. It's impossible to manage what you don't know you have. So our right-click tools, which is, within SCCM, is a great way to kind of manage those devices that you may not know you have. Gaining control of administrative privileges on devices once and for all. We understand that managing privilege across your organization is a challenge on a daily basis. Patching, being able to proactively manage those patches that you had, those applications that you have throughout your organization as well. And then, look, making the most out of your investment to Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Using SCCM, it's not inexpensive. So you need to be able to find a solution that's going to help you navigate the day-to-day, the week-to-week, the year-to-year challenges that you may face using SCCM and just keeping your environment healthy, strong, compatible, and reliable. A few other things here on the right-hand side, just a few by the numbers. We've learned that when there's a breach, 62% of the companies don't realize they're vulnerable to that breach before that breach actually happened. We realized that by removing admin rights, that 56% of all Microsoft vulnerabilities could have been prevented. We understand that about 33% of system administrators say that the complexity prevents them from effectively managing endpoints. And so we're going to be taking a look at a few of those today. And I am going to pass the floor over to Courtney, and they're all yours.
Thanks. I'm Courtney. I'm a solutions engineer. I've been working in the IT world for several years, and I've been a system administrator as well, and actually started using the right-click tools before I actually started working for Recast. So I was a customer before I was actually an employee. So I see people are filling out the poll, so if you can fill out that poll, it would be great. So how familiar are you with the right-click tools / Recast software? Are you a community user, enterprise user, never heard of us? Or maybe you have heard of us, but just don't use us? As everyone's filling out the poll, just a quick kind of summary of kind of the differences between community and enterprise. So I see a lot of you guys are community users. So community is our free tool, free to use, but it has some limitations. Things like it requires local admin on your devices to be able to run tools, at least an account, and you get a little less functionality as well. With our enterprise version instead, you can have access to run the tool against all sorts of devices. You have access to these dashboards over here as well, and some more of our tools functionality. So one of our main dashboards, one of the ones that I like to use a lot, is our software update deployment status. And what this dashboard is it shows what your software updates look like. If I pick a collection here and hit start, you'll start seeing some information come in from our workstations. And off the bat, you can see I'm not very compliant right now. My updates are not so great, but it's also just recently patched Tuesday, so it's gonna take some time. If I need to, though, with software updates, I can actually select a update group that I can limit it by. I can also just limit it by deployed updates, so that I can see if I have any devices compliant based on what I've actually deployed versus what just needs to be installed. If you need to look at for a certain type of update category, you can do it by update category or by compliance. So this missing software updates category, if there happens to be an pertinent update that you really need, and you want to see which devices are missing it, you can quickly see which devices are missing a specific update if you want to look that direction. Or you can actually count by non-compliant devices. So I have a bunch of non-compliant devices, and I can expand to see which updates they are missing. So if you're using software updates through a config manager, you'll be able to use this information, uses what should be installed and what is actually installed or not. But the nice thing about these dashboards is the fact that you can actually do actions against things. So all these devices, I know they're not compliant, but what can I do with them? I can select them, and then I have access to the right-click tools. So with the right-click tools, in this case, I want to get those updates installed. So I will go to Remote Software Center. Remote Software Center is just like Software Center, but remote. So I can actually see what my environment looks like on multiple devices and see which ones are missing. And I also get some other great information. So if I expand this update, it looks like 15 of my devices out of 15 are missing this specific update. At least one of them is waiting for this window. So I know it's at least knows about the update and we'll get it soon. But if I want to rush things and because I'm impatient, I can go ahead and hit install and start kicking off that install process so they get those software updates. So this should mirror exactly like Software Center, as if I went to the device, went into Software Center, went into updates, and then clicked install. It'll kick those off, install for you. And you can get those devices to get those updates for you. Or sometimes maybe it's just waiting for a restart. I've seen a lot of evaluation states where it's really just missing a restart and then it'll get installed. If that's the case, a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll right click on the devices that might need a restart and check on to see if anyone's logged in. So I can use system information along with it, and we have user sessions. So I can actually see who's logged into which devices, and if there's no one's logged in, or maybe they've been disconnected for a while, I can actually go ahead and log them off. So I can see some information about it, who's logged in, then use the right-click tools to actually just decide to restart those devices, get those updates that are missing restarted, so they can finish their updates. You can also see some information in operating system as well, where I can see if it's actually pending a restart or not. I can see all here. Looks like I have at least 2 that are missing a restart. That category is set to true for those 2, so I know I can restart those. Another great tool that kind of helps when you're patching, and you can run any of these tools that I'm talking about under device collections, under just devices. If I select a bunch, I go into part of our automation. So our Recast automation comes with right-click tools enterprise. You got Recast Builder and Recast Runner. With Recast Builder, you build it in Builder and you run it in Runner. I know, shocker for most people, might be hard, right? So
Wow.
in this case, we actually have a template that comes with our Recast automation, which is it pending a restart? And if it is, we have a condition that says equals true, it will actually restart the computer. And I can add parameters that say, hey, skip if a user's logged in. Maybe I don't want it to restart. Maybe I want to add a countdown timer, add a user message. I can do that as well. So with this, once you build an action, if you want to do it yourself or you want to use one of our templates, I can select whichever devices I need to, or maybe I just want to do it on a whole collection. Go ahead and go to Recast Automation, go to Recast Runner, and then I have that ability to reboot if pending restart. So this only restarts the devices that actually have that, are actually pending a restart. So I can run this on a whole collection, but only get a handful maybe of devices that actually need a restart, and then go ahead and restart those devices. So I can run it immediately, or I can schedule that action as well. So if I need to maybe run this once a week, once a month after Patch Tuesday, just kind of get all those updated, our devices updated, I can do that as well. And then I can have that run for me, and I don't have to worry about those devices that are just pending a restart and waiting, hopefully it will restart or not. I can get them updated quicker than waiting sometimes. then there's also some other tools as well that are available in, remote software center that also can help with things, with getting updates. We were talking about task sequences earlier. We have the ability to actually run task sequences and go ahead and install that with Software Center. And you also have those compliance items that you can actually run and evaluate and see if any of them are non-compliant and go ahead and run those as well. And make sure those devices get updated, compliant, run your task sequences that you need to do.
Don't run that one.
Yeah, don't run that one. Not that one, but maybe a different one.
Question for you on the application side.
Yeah.
So in the poll that we've got going in the chat, how is your environment managed? On-prem, hybrid, or pure Intune? If you are in a co-managed state and you are doing application deployments via Intune because you think it's best, if you're looking at like company portal, you would see stuff from Software Center that's from ConfigMan, and you would see stuff that's from Intune. So will a remote Software Center just show the stuff that's going to show up in there from ConfigMan, or would it also potentially see the applications coming from Intune?
Right now, it only sees the applications from Config Manager. But it's on our roadmap, so we are working on it,
Yeah.
going in that direction. But currently, it shows only Config Manager applications. But if you are, co-managed and are using, Config Manager and Intune, anything in Config Manager can still use the right-click tools.
Yeah.
If you're using a CMG, we can also run the right-click tools over the CMG. We have ways around if you're not a local admin. That a lot of times that's where community users, it stops working for you because you're no longer community users. So we have access to and abilities to kind of get around things like that, where you can still use your tools and not actually be a local admin with you can use service accounts or a Recast agent as well that gives those permissions without giving anyone, like help desk actual access to those devices, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong case for keeping ConfigMan, because a lot of people that are on that co-management journey, their management saying, hey, why don't we just go pure Intune? For the obvious reasons, CM Pivot doesn't really exist in Intune, although they're trying. Tools, all this stuff, you keep ConfigMan, you get the benefits of ConfigMan while still getting the benefits of Intune.
Yeah.
And you get the benefits of products like this. So.
Yes, exactly. And, Ariel brings up good point, servers. It's great for
Yeah.
servers.
Because Intune for servers, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It can happen.
Our next product we're going to talk about, so that's the right-click tools in a nutshell. With one of our other products we have now is Application Manager, which is our third-party updates. So those help with anything that's third-party and not Windows. This application portal is where you would log in, and it has has all three actions. So you can use either WSUS, Config Manager, or Intune, or any combination of those to be able to update those applications, get those applications into your Config Manager server, deploy them through Intune so you don't have to worry about them. If you lose all your applications, same deal, you can add those as well. Start off talking about Config Manager and then move over to Intune. With Config Manager, when you turn on your service applications in this web portal, you see a list of all our applications. Turn on whichever software you want. And then we have Application Manager. So this is our client. It goes and adds those applications that you've selected into Config Manager for you. So it's a automatic download and set it off, and it will go ahead and keep updating. So here is where you would set your deployment process. So you can set multiple deployment processes. So if you have, certain applications you want to be deployed certain ways, other applications maybe a different way, one-off software applications, things like that, you can change and add multiple deployment processes. You can set any settings that you have during an application building in Config Manager. All those wizards, they have all those settings in here. and then you have your deployments. So how do you want it actually to be deployed in your environment? In this case, I have a test ring. I want to make sure I test the application before, and then I have a deployment ring. So I actually have it scheduled so that it waits, and then the second ring waits even longer, so that it waits 2 days and then another working day after that, so that I have time to test, make sure everything's working, doesn't break any other applications I might have in my environment, things like that. And once you configure it however you need, however best works for your environment, you add those applications automatically add to Config Manager. So anytime there's a new update, it will download the application for you, new version, go ahead and package it all for you and deploy it through Config Manager, all without having to actually do any of the manual work. It'll follow your deployment process and your settings, and then get those applications deployed for you. So if you look at our test ring is all complete. Our deployment ring is not. Let's pick it on. Let's go with Firefox. We have Firefox. So it adds all your different applications in here, and you can have it set to clean up after applications are added, or if you want to just keep a record of all the versions and keep a historical record for maybe a couple months, just in case you need to roll back, you can do that as well. So since the other deployment hasn't completed yet, or hasn't started yet, the old deployment ring is still going. Because it has a delay, the other ones haven't caught up yet. So with this, if I needed to, these are all 100%. But if they haven't installed, I can actually use Remote Software Center in the right-click tools as well. I can do it based on success or whichever, if they're aired out in progress, I can go ahead and select which category I want. And I have application part of Software Center. So then if, updates aren't, installing or applications aren't installing, you can go ahead and install them from here. So you can see which ones are not installed. I can go ahead and click and then install Notepad++ on all my devices. So Application Manager and right-click tools work really well together, get those updates to both Windows and then third party as well. You can go ahead and select whatever category you need. And since it automatically does everything for you, you only have to just kind of keep an eye on it, make sure everything's installing properly, and get those applications updated. And also with the application manager as well, we create an install string and an uninstall string. So if there's ever a chance where Firefox updates something and it doesn't work with maybe a website that you guys frequently use in your organization, you can go ahead and roll back really nicely because we have those previous updates available. So you can go ahead and if you need to pause the deployment, go ahead and roll back and install the new one, uninstall the old one, things like that. And that helps keep those, your environment functioning as well as keeping them updated. And it does most of the hard work all for you, especially if you happen to run into any problem that might be environment specific, things like that. You also have access, excuse me, because in application part of Application Manager, you also have access to all those right-click tools that help with that as well. And then we have the Intune portion. Intune portion is held in our web portal and is similar to the same Config Manager client, but it's tailored for Intune as well. So we have our same deployment processes where you set up what you want and how you want it to be deployed. Turn on which software it is applicable to. So our required applications, we have Adobe Reader. and we have our deployments in here. So with our deployments, right now, our test pilot group, it's as soon as it's available, it goes ahead and installs it. And I can add, end user notifications if I want. I can also disable it. And if I need to, I can also email as well. So I can set those different rings so that I make sure that I maybe don't flood my network with all the new updates, or just to make sure everyone's getting tested. So this one, our global users, it actually is scheduled to wait for 3 days. So we make sure that pilot group is all installed before we go ahead and install the rest. And it handles all that for you. So you can kind of see some simulated publish times. So you can see how long or when approximately would based on the delay. So anytime there is a new update, it just follows that deployment process all for you. And it puts it in Intune, deploys it, and keeps your third-party patches up to date. Also see scheduled deployments as well. There's so this is our scheduled deployments for our software when there's a new version available. You can see the deadline when it's available, which groups it's going to. It looks like this one's waiting for cleanup. Most of these are complete. You can see if it's required or available, so you can make the software available. If you want to just have some, you can have it exclude certain people if you don't want them to have that software. So you kind of configure it how you're best fit in your environment. And then once you get it configured, you just have to really monitor it and make sure, those pesky computers are staying up to date.
So sorry for the random question in the middle here. So all the different tools that you guys have, there's a lot of different tools, features, whatnot. Are they all licensed as one suite, or are there different options for if you wanted to purchase, say, the right-click portion of it that you paid for, but not the pouching part? And, or vice versa.
Yeah, so you can, our licensing is per endpoints that you have in your environment. So you can use as many people use that license as you need. And you can do individual products, or you can bundle them all together, and you can get those, just the applications that you need. So this is our application manager, and then I talked about earlier about the right-click tools, where that allows you to do actions against a bunch of devices.
Right. Yeah.
And now I will open the floor in case anybody has any other questions. Anybody write it in the chat or come off mute. Feel free to ask questions.
We do have a question from the audience. For third-party software, does it discover all that is installed in your environment?
So it does not discover the software, but it does, you base it off a collection. So you're deploying an application. So any collections that you have, queries on, things like that, you can deploy it to just, if you just have Adobe and make a collection that has that query that says only Adobe, and then you can deploy Adobe to just that collection if you want, or you can do it to all your devices as well, or different collections. So it's collection based. You're using Intune. we go back to the right-click tools, we can also see some other things revolving around patching as well. Excuse me. You can see things like applications. So this is applications that actually are installed on the device. So you can see if you need, if someone downloaded something off the internet, you can go ahead and use the uninstall string that we grabbed from the registry and uninstall it. Or if you just are building an application and need that uninstall string, you can grab that. We also have some information about your Windows updates that's on those machines, which ones have certain KBs in here, which updates you need. You can also see that kind of information as well through system information. And then services. I use this a lot for remote registry when it's been disabled and I need to get in somewhere. I'll go ahead and change the startup type to automatic or manual. Go ahead and do what I need to do in the registry and then go disable it when I'm done. But you can also restart and stop, start, and restart services from here as well so that you can get, if you need updates and the service needs to be stopped, things like that. I also use it for that as well. Any other questions that we can answer?
I have a couple of questions.
Yeah. You come back.
You mentioned it works over CMG, I think,
Yeah.
right-click tools
Mhm.
and the apps as well. For the right-click tools for it to work, do you have to open any kind of firewall or, what do you have to do to your client so that that works?
So we use what we call a Recast agent, which is just a client that sits on those devices. And then we can do it a few different ways. So we also have an agent gateway, which is kind of similar to the cloud management gateway, but it's for our own products. And that would connect to the client or the CMG. We send over a script. The agent interprets the script and sends it back over the CMG. And it just needs to be able to communicate with the agent. And then we would have a Recast management server on the other end.
Thank you. And then for the right-click tools, I've always understood that there's like a free set, but then there's like a premium set that's paid for, right? What are some of the top 2 or 3 features in right-click tools that are in the premium set?
It's some of the top 2 or 3 tools or so are the fact that you can actually just do actions against a bunch of devices. So against those collections, I go into devices and select which ones I'm looking at. So you can do a bunch of the tools against a bunch of devices. You got some security tools as well. So things that do BitLocker, where you can encrypt and decrypt all from a window that's similar to the system information. Clear TPM, those kind of Defender as well within that security tools. And then those dashboards. You can see that kind of information in those in these dashboards that are all part of the enterprise. So AD cleanup, BitLocker, content distribution monitor, hardware inventory, or hardware and firmware audit, and then our labs dashboard as well. And then software updates, which I talked about earlier. So you can talk about, or you can use all those in the enterprise versus the community.
And then you talked, I know at the start you were showing the patch compliance, and then you went into some details, and you triggered an action from there. And I think the action you triggered is probably Recast right-click tools actions.
Yeah.
Was that view, was that like built in Config UI, or I know you guys have customized UI too as well?
Yeah, so the UI that I've been pulling up for like remote software center is all ours. So we kind of used similar to Software Center, so we kind of mirrored a little bit of it, and then, but yeah, it's all part of the right tools themselves.
But I think even before you went to the remote software center, this is really early in your demo, you did it from the patch compliance report of what was compliant and not. And I think you triggered reboot, maybe? Or maybe I'm misremembering what you said.
Was it system information?
It's like the schedule where you can schedule a reboot.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so that's just one of our right-click tools. It does use our.
So this also is Recast UI right here that we're seeing?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, awesome. And you just have to install that on all your App UI machines?
Yeah, so right-click tools can be installed anywhere on the config, where the config manager is installed, and then the agents would go on those devices.
Okay. Awesome.
Any other questions?
Rest in peace to the community hub.
Right? Yeah.
They're so easy when you just go in there and click right click tools and install.
Last for a little bit.
All right. So get your phones ready. We have a QR code for you guys here. We're gonna be giving away 4 $100 gift cards to the Recast merchandise shop. So if you want to get yourself some Recast shirts that aren't on the back table, if you want to get yourself a quarter zip, if you want to get yourself a pair of shoes like the ones Courtney's wearing right now, take a picture. Recast shoes.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Enter for your chance to win one of the 4 gift cards. And if you have some interest in learning a little bit more about right-click tools, learning a little bit more about Application Manager or any of our other products, there's going to be an opportunity for you to do so through that link. And you will be reached out. If you are one of the winners of the gift cards, you will be emailed and let know that you have won. Otherwise, you can always set up time to speak with one of our account executives, learn a little bit more about how our products can help you guys out. You can set up some time for a demo and help you however you need. So with that being said, we want to thank you for your time today, allowing us to come from Minneapolis and North Dakota to have a chance to present to everybody both in person and virtually. So thank you very much for your time. And before I do that,
You forgot one.
I thought that was the last slide. My apologies.
Do you guys have onesies in your store?
Not yet, I keep asking.
We need onesies.
I'm with you.
If you would like to start a petition, I'm all for it.
I'd like to start an anti-petition.
I've
I don't need that mental image of Rudy.
copyrighted right-click rules. Okay, a few other things worth mentioning right now. If anybody here is going to be going to MMS Miami Beach, we are going to be there from October 29th through November 1st. We have a webinar coming up about lack of visibility in modern IT environments. That's going to be September 27th. That's a Tuesday. That's a Wednesday. And October 5th, which is another Wednesday. So sign up if you haven't had a chance. Go to recastsoftware.com. You can find some white pages. You can find some ebook about third-party patching. We have a hardware management in a remote world ebook available too. And Recast Academy. If you go to recastsoftware.com into resources and support, there you're going to find a link to sign up for Recast Academy and get yourself certified with right-click tools and other Recast products.
So if you want to learn more, we have our technical documentation on our website as well. It has a list of our supported applications for Application Manager as well, if you're looking into that. And you can explore all our fun technical documentation if you like that kind of thing. Learn more. You can also use the Recast Academy to learn more about right-click tools, how it works, help desk certifications, and right-click tool certifications as well.
Is this the end of your regularly scheduled programming? Or do you have more?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have more to show?
Well, we can, probably. No, I think that's it.
So I was gonna ask you, you'd mentioned something, I didn't want to jump ahead if you had more.
Oh,
than
yeah,
you
sure.
shared.
I think that.
So you had mentioned something about like privilege management. Can you guys touch on that a little bit?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you have like a privilege management thing you were talking about?
Yes, so we have an application called Privilege Manager, and what that does is it elevates the user that you want. So you can do it based on devices or based by user, and it elevates as needed. So anywhere there's a UAC prompt, you get an extra little option that you can do more choices, and then it authenticates to our Privilege Manager, which is actually part of the Recast Management Server. So if you already have the Recast Management Server as part of the right-click tools, it's already in there. So you just, once you get licensed for it, you use the same kind of infrastructure, and it uses the same Recast agent that we use for other, for the right-click tools and our other products as well. And then it just elevates as needed. It elevates the process, so you can do it by local account, domain account, or you can use an activation code. And you can use that activation code a few different ways. You can do it offline. You can also have them, if you need users to call into maybe a help desk to grab that code. So you want kind of like that human aspect, you can use it that way as well. And then it just makes it local admin as needed.
And that's just doing it by the process. It's not giving the user admin rights for like that whole session or for a short amount of time.
It's just the process. And then we have reports that you can look to see who's doing what and, timestamp, things like that.
So it'll show you where it's being utilized, so you can go in and
Yeah,
audit that.
which devices, which user account, things like that. And then you can see who's been doing what and who's elevating privileges.
Is there any ability in that to basically make it so it'll essentially auto approve things that look somewhat okay, and then you can audit it after a while and then try to lock it back down and say you're looking at your logs and you're like, oh yeah, people are constantly wanting this. We know that old piece of crap application is okay, so we want to always allow that, but we want to start blocking stuff. Do you have any kind of different enforcement levels like that?
Right now, we do not, but I think we have it as a feature request.
Yeah.
And stuff, but yeah, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
With the process. It also whitelists to your groups, so your local groups, so
Yeah.
you can have whitelist just, a few accounts for administrator, and then someone tries to put something in, it removes that account if it's not authorized to be in that group.
So it's essentially auditing and enforcing your admin groups.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait for like group policy to
Yeah.
refresh type thing, it's more active.
Can you describe just a little bit on shift left? If you can kind of give a high level on that, put you on the spot. If you can't, that's fine.
Want to handle that one?
No.
Okay.
You see, you have retired. Shift left is currently in the process of retirement.
Okay.
Being retired. Yeah.
Right?
All right, thanks.
But in case you don't, want something else, we also have endpoint insights, as well. So that's our information gathering product. And so that adds WMI classes into Config Manager database and grabs a bunch of information that Config Manager doesn't natively grab, and then builds reports off of that information. So things like network shares, it tells you exactly where that network share is, what drive, and for who it is for. So I used to be in the help desk and I would replace a computer and someone would be like, where's my J drive? I'm like, I don't know, where does it go? And they're like, I don't know either, it's just my J drive. And I was like, I don't know where that goes. So you'd have to go, go find where that is located. So these reports capture that information. We got device warranty information as well as part of Endpoint Insights. Builds a good cost replacement report as well that you can use to say, management, I need more money because I got 41 devices that are expiring next year. Give me more money. So you can do things like that. So grab a bunch of information, including like monitors, docking stations, things like that.
If you want to get an idea for, which devices are going to be kind of getting the end of their life cycle and you want to start looking at, replacement costs, there's some good features in there to do that. Just to circle back real quick. So, with shift left, it was a ServiceNow, solution. And, we just found that it was kind of difficult to kind of continue to keep up with the changes that were going on in ServiceNow. And, we realized that ultimately being able to put the time and the energy into the rest of our products was probably the best way to kind of serve our customer base. So, for people that are using shift left, it's still, being, serviced, but we will be reaching end of life with that relatively soon here. But like I said, all those allocations of people's time and energy will be focused then on, the other Recast products. Let's go at that now.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Appreciate it.